has died, Katja. Nobody's died. Oh, except Sue Garratt.
So you're now live, and you started the live with the words "Nobody has died." So if we can just put this into perspective. Hello, everyone. We are very sorry for the delay. The reason why Sue started this with "Nobody has died" was because she was horrified about the delay due to technical issues, and she apologized profusely. And my words are always, as long as nobody has died, everything's fine. The ship is calm. So welcome everyone to our Hideaways Live, talking in Women's Month, all about female empowerment, especially in rural communities. And I am very, very excited to have Sue Garratt with me today. And again, apologies to everyone for letting you wait so long, but thank you for waiting as well. Just some technical issues. And I would love, first of all, to introduce Sue to you. Sue is the co-founder of Dulini Collection and Easy Dulini Community Trust. And she, as many of us, is passionate about the plight of girls in rural South Africa and creating opportunity for them to reach their truly full potential. And the quote that I guess describes her passion for life and her reason for doing that is, "Life offers joy in the journey, and reaching out to our neighboring communities boosts my joy." And that's definitely something that I'll ask Sue about just now. And it's Sue's vision to make a meaningful difference for local communities through the conservation and hospitality industry she and her husband Ian have built their lives around. And later in the conversation, will be joining us is Isaac Aguilar. He's the community liaison manager for Sabi Sands Welting, who and the Dulini Collection or Dulini Lodges are situated in Sabi Sands. So he will be joining us and give us some more insight into the projects that the Dulini Collection and the Easy Dulini Community Trust have developed. How this has truly changed the Sabi Sands in the rural community. So first of all, Sue, welcome. Welcome to the chat. Thank you for persevering and making this all happen despite the technical difficulties and challenges. And I would like you, maybe because I've talked enough, maybe describe to me or to the audience really what's Project Dignity about, and then I will step in a little later to talk about how it actually all came about, that I got wind of the project and how it all worked out from there. So please tell us, what's Project Dignity about and what does it mean to you?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me today, and apologies to everybody for my delay and causing a little bit of havoc there. There's nothing like this to get the adrenaline going. But it's a wonderful joy to be able to share our story with you. Being a woman and being a mother of two girls, it's a story that's very close to my heart and is a very humbling journey we've taken into the community of rural South Africa, having been exposed to the plight of girls through our work in schools in the local communities around the Sabi Sands Game Reserve. What we have in our area is a prestigious and very luxurious game reserve, which is geared to accommodate and luxuriate overseas visitors mostly. And it's the dollar that comes into this business that actually funds the work out into the communities. And in our work in schools, I suddenly, to my horror, realized that girls had absolutely no support when they were coming into puberty. And as a mother, I realized that I would hate for my children to be in a position of no dignity at a time where they should be flying into womanhood. And it led me to start researching what was out there. And ultimately, I was linked up with a woman by the name of Sue Barnes, who started Project Dignity and allowed us to borrow the name for our project. And she designed a product which is a sustainable sanitary towel called a SUBS sanitary towel. And what we do is we put together packs which we take out into the community to give to girls at a pubescent age. So they get a pack of 3 undies. Often they're more excited about the undies than the actual sanitary towels, which is very sweet. And they get enough sanitary towels to last them for 5 years. So the idea is that if they look after the pack and they wash them carefully and dry them, they can keep them in a little discreet bag which they take with them to school, and it's their personal kit to protect them and to give them the dignity to face a monthly situation which no woman can avoid. So Project Dignity, I hope, will offer girls the potential to stay in school when they have their period, because if you think about having no protection and landing up in school and the embarrassment of not having protection in a classroom situation, what happens is girls tend to just leave school and they abandon class for that time. And basically they lose out on their education because they get so far behind that they actually can't catch up. So yes, Project Dignity is an amazing thing. It's a very humbling work because I am continually reminded of how many girls are out there in need, and also continually reminded of just how privileged I am. And so it is my humble joy to be able to go and do this. The project reaches out primarily to girls, and we have the opportunity to teach them about their sexual health. But the other wonderful thing is that it targets all the taboos that keep women subjugated and keep women, all the stigmas attached to menstruation. And we have the opportunity of undermining all of those and just equipping girls with the knowledge about what they're going through and giving them the courage to face it with dignity. And it's so lovely to see girls coming into their own, rural girls who have little exposure to our Western privilege and our Western opportunities are actually just flying, and they are so proud of the fact that they are women and are able to walk out with dignity. I'm often confronted by men when we go in to do these activations or installations who will say, male teachers or headmasters who will say to me, "Oh, well, what have you brought for the boys?" And I look at them in horror and I go, well, I've brought the boys some dignity too, because actually, if you think about it, if the women in our community have dignity and are able to walk with their heads held high and are able to access education on an equitable basis with boys, the whole community has opportunity to be catapulted into a new level. And so that is also a very heartening thing. And the more we speak about this, the more girls start to walk into positions of leadership, the more government opens their eyes and sits up. Government who's very proud to hand out many condoms to men to fight the fight of against HIV, which has been quite successful. But if we don't look at the plight of women and the basic needs, monthly needs of rural, impoverished African women, then we are missing the boat horribly. And a lot of women, or girls particularly, would rather be pregnant than have to deal with their period on a monthly basis, and would rather find themselves married and in a position of dignity from that point of view, rather than having to struggle to find some way of protecting themselves because they can't afford a sanitary towel. So I think I've also spoken a lot now. So let's chance.
So thank you so much for explaining exactly what Project Dignity is about, and also for really showcasing why it means so much and why it matters so much. And I think it also showcased beautifully my I don't want to, for the lack of a better word, I call it my horror when I actually realized that I had no idea. So I met your husband Ian at a travel show in 2013, I think, 2013, 2014, We Are Africa. And he introduced me to this project, and I was more horrified about that. I had no idea the fact that girls do lose 25% of schooling just because, and I don't mean it in that way, they had their period, and it never, coming from a very privileged European upbringing, it never crossed my mind that that girls didn't have access to this. We missed school for a day because of period cramps and stomach pains, but certainly not every month, and certainly not because we weren't protected, or we didn't know how to look after ourselves, or didn't have access to these things. So that when Ian introduced me to that, and I don't even know how it happened, must have been over lunch, I knew exactly immediately this is what we want to do, and this is what we want to bring to the girls of Zimbabwe, because you managing lodges in the Sabi Sands. We obviously had our lodges, our first lodge, Elephant's Eye, back then in Wangi, and close to the community of Deti. And so we literally stole your idea, but I'm glad to hear now that also, you got also introduced to that idea through someone else, and that is that's the beauty in conservation. There's no such thing as stealing an idea. It's when it works, then why shouldn't it work for other people as well? So exactly.
We all talk about this, and the more people involved, the better. I mean, there are lots of girls out there, so it's definitely something that we should all be involved in if we care about the girls in society.
So I would like to bring in Isaac, and Isaac being the community liaison manager in Sabi Sand, I would like to hear from him, first of all, as a male, what it's like to introduce such a project to the rural community, and then I would also like to hear I just need to turn volume down as I echo a little bit. I would also like to know from Isaac what change has really come about to the school and to the area since Project Dignity was implemented. So, hello Isaac, welcome. I see my my backstage fairy has let you in. Isaac, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Yes, as stated, my name is Isaac Aguilar.
Isaac?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? After making you work, Sue, we have now lost Isaac.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
No. Okay.
Katja,
I
can want to take me out so that Isaac can come.
Okay, fine. I got it. I got you guys back.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. I'm sorry about that. Sorry, Isaac, if you were answering any of my questions, I want to know, how does it feel as a male community member to introduce such projects to your community as your community liaison manager of Sabi Sands? And then also, what has changed in the community since this project was introduced?
Okay, thank you for having me. As it stated, my name is Isaac Aguilar. I'm the Sabi Sands Community Liaison Manager responsible for building the relationship between the reserve and our neighboring communities. So I was very fortunate to be involved on such a wonderful project. As a young boy, grew up in a rural communities where I've also witnessed some of the challenges these girls are facing in the communities. So when this project came in, it was an honor for me, and it was a privilege to be involved on such a project, which have made a big change in the communities. And we've been getting feedback from the parents, from the school principals, in terms of how it changed the performance of the girls in the schools in terms of their curriculum. And also we interviewed some of the girls whereby they told us how what the challenges that they were facing, and also in terms of health they were facing serious challenges, because if they don't have enough or they don't have necessary equipment, they were using anything they can, which affected their health, and also it made it life difficult for them.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Isaac, and thank you so much for that great for the great work that you're doing on the ground. Isaac, can you give me some real examples of how it has changed the girls' lives? Is there how, you know, what is happening on the ground when the year comes about and these subs are presented to the girls? Has there been any specific feedback you've received from the teachers, from the girls on the ground?
Yes, as I mentioned, we did get a positive feedback from the parents, even from the parents, and also from the school principals in terms of the change, in terms of the performance of the girls in their curriculum. So this project, it was an amazing project, and we've witnessed that. As I've mentioned, we've also interviewed some of the girls whereby they've also mentioned how lucky they are to receive such a help, because that's something that was giving them a problem when it comes to that stage whereby they have to stay behind, and they have to they didn't have enough information. They had to catch up on the boys in terms of their curriculum. So it really helped a lot in the communities, and we've witnessed that, and we've interviewed most of the girls, and they were very positive, and they really appreciated this program.
Thank you, Isaac. Sue, we spoke this morning about the role of the woman in an African community and in an African village, and how this is very relevant to these projects. I would love you to actually repeat to me exactly what you, or in similar words to the conversation we had this morning, because I think it spoke very much into why this is so important, and how this basically can change the world for the better.
Well, I think traditionally in the African culture, the woman has been the one to till the fields, to plant the harvest, to harvest the harvest, and to keep the family fed and well watered. Often men are either migrant workers and away from home and the responsibility of raising children directly, or are absent fathers, which is a great pity. In our local communities, the households are often female-headed rather than father-headed, which is a sad reality. And so, you know, it's important for us to realize that women play an exceptionally important role, not only in raising children, but as we go into the future, they have an economic role to play in communities. And it would be wonderful to see girls being equipped with the opportunity to reach their full potential academically, so that they can go further and so provide for families more in a more substantial way. I think that was what I said, and that is why supplying someone with a sanitary towel actually gives them such tremendous opportunity. And you know, boys don't have to think about this sort of thing, and so we need to make it equitable. The access to education is an important part of what we do in this project, and you can only have equitable access to education if girls' basic needs are met, and that means give them sanitary towels. So hopefully, you know, this will be something that is automatically supplied by government in future. But until that happens, I think, you know, it's up to us and projects such as this to step into the gap.
Isaac, do you have anything to add to that about the role of a woman in an African community, to what Sue has to say? Seeing, you're on the ground. Would you like to add anything to that?
Yes, through my experience, the way I understand the role of women in the communities, I'm a true believer of the way that of the saying that says, if you empower a woman, you are empowering a nation, because everyone who grow up around an empowered woman tend to be more successful than people who are growing up in a women who are not who are not having a self-confidence. So I truly believe on what Sue have mentioned, but I can witness that. I'm who I am today just because my mother had a self-confidence in terms of how she raised us, and because of that, and I can witness that.
And this is why we love you so much, Isaac. He's a true millennial man.
Isaac, before I let you go, I would like to know for you, what does it mean to you to be part of such a project, and of such, I guess, several community projects that you are in charge of, or that you're liaising about in the Sabi Sands? What does it mean to you?
Yes, for me, this is a privilege. This is like a dream come true, because this is what I was passionate about ever since I was young. So this is amazing for me, and I'm very privileged to be playing such an important role, whereby I engage with the communities, making sure that communities understand how important these protected areas are in our day-to-day lives. Because without these protected areas, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't have achieved what I've achieved today, because as we all know that in this area where I am, there's only access to opportunities is through tourism. And tourism, it's the existence of tourism is reliant on the existence of the protected area. So for me, this is a privilege. This is an honor to be part of such a wonderful group of people who are trying to make a difference in their everyday's life.
Thank you, Isaac. It was such a true pleasure to have you here. And thank you also for not being scared to talk about such female issues, as some people might have labeled this. And I see Carly here commenting, we need more men like Isaac, and I cannot agree more. It's phenomenal, and it's great to have people like you at the helm of us trying to implement these projects. Thank you so much, Isaac, for your work on the ground.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thanks. Sue, I would like to talk to you also about a conversation we had this morning, and about how far the tourism dollar goes. So the distance of the dollar, I think, the distance of the tourism dollar, you called it this morning. And also, I would like to talk into sustainability of these projects. I mean, now Isaac mentioned it. This is tourism is funding a lot of these projects. We see ourselves currently in a world where tourism is non-existent, and has been for the last 5 months, which makes the survival of these projects and the financing of these projects tricky. And I know, and sustainability, if we just speak into sustainability, is obviously be trying to put these projects in place to essentially for them to run their course and to run themselves, and we are no longer around. So when we in Zimbabwe created Project Penya of the back of Project Dignity, which Penya means in Shona to shine, so you wanted girls to shine, essentially. We have now partners with the Tandanai project in Dete, and the village of the women of the village basically help the girls to create these sanitary pads and panties themselves. So we teach the girls to do it themselves, but then instead of importing the subs from South Africa, we now get the women of the village to create the pads, and the funds that we raise basically go to them in order to purchased from the project. So that's how we have tried to make it sustainable. And but this year is obviously the first year that we are running this, and we are still fundraising for it as much as we can. And that brings me to the conversation of the impact that everyone has that is actually employed in tourism, that sends travelers to Africa. And Sue, please talk to me about the distance of the tourism dollar.
Right. So basically, as you've said, these projects are reliant on tourism and the funding that comes in from the tourist industry. And our lodges depend on international trade because it is just so expensive to run and operate a private game reserve. But I think it's very encouraging for people who are in the industry and are perhaps listening to this broadcast to know that wherever you are in the world and whoever you are selling a safari dream to, it's not just about realizing people's safari dreams, because every dollar that comes into the coffers of this industry in Africa goes to making a difference in the individual lives of people on the ground. And just to give you some idea, at Dulini, we've worked out that of our 134 staff in 3 camps who deal with our 30 guests over the 3 camps, we probably support, each staff member probably supports 12 to 17 mouths. So they have dependents, 12 to 17 dependents each. So their salary goes a long way to making a difference and to raising families and individuals in our communities. So whatever is spent on your holiday or the dream that you weave in the industry for someone's wonderful safari dream, you actually are sewing in to a very real fabric of society. And that is something that we can be proud of in this industry and that we can celebrate. And it's also something I think that we should be considering and thinking about in terms of how we want to further that impact, and whether what we're earning in commissions or how we are personally investing it. And that's something that you and I, Katja, spoke about. And I think that many people are moved by these stories and are looking for opportunity to invest in community and social justice causes. And this is a way to do it. It's through the industry that we're involved in, and it's very exciting and at the same time extremely humbling.
Yeah. So you are very right. I have spent especially the last 2 years often telling also our staff that regardless of whether you work in our accounts departments, operations departments, with our selling a safari, or making sure our stock at the lodge is all up to date. It's you working in this industry, you are choosing to make an impact, and you are part of a bigger picture, fixing or helping to fix some of the plight of this the society that we find ourselves in, and we should be truly proud of that. And so I love your words when you say we should celebrate that. And I would really like to invite listeners or people who maybe watch the recording afterwards to come and connect with you, Sue, or connect with me, and figure out how can we make a bigger difference together. So your suggestion of, we don't know, is there a discussion that could be had that maybe 0.5% of someone's commission could be dedicated to these projects? Or are there other ways how our tourism partners can get involved in specific projects that are close to their heart, or in broader foundations? And I know you would be very welcome of any ideas and discussions to be had like that, and so would we. And of course, you can always. I know my team played in the banners for the donation links, so especially now where tourism is on hold, we we really would support any additional donations to either projects that help the girls in South Africa or in Zimbabwe. But furthermore, we would appreciate if we can take this discussion further of how to make this an issue more talked about. And therefore, also, once we talk about it and once we discuss it more, hopefully find more sustainable solutions for it. Sue, before I close off the discussion, I would like to know from you what's next for you and for your trust and for your projects. What's on the flag for I guess for the remainder of this year and maybe for next year?
Well, the Dulini Trust is quite involved in an old age home at the moment, an old age home that really reaches out to the most vulnerable in our community, our local community. We have people as old as 103 living in our little old age home in Kildare, and it's our big dream to actually build. We have already built onto what was an existing school to create a beautiful facility for them, and it's run by an incredible young man who went off after school to study nursing, came back into the community and started geriatric nursing. And we've come alongside him to build this nursing home for the elderly, which is a beautiful place and a beautiful space for people to really live out their golden years, and looks after them when their family can't. And these are people who don't have SASSA cards, they're not recognized by government, and really have nothing. So it's on the other end of the scale. It's not the young girls there, but it's on the very other end of the scale. And my heart and vision is ultimately to see a facility where old folk and young people come to live life and to learn from each other. So I would love to marry the two concepts of education for youth and education for the aged, and to see how we can integrate that in a lifestyle center, as it were, where the elderly are actually cared for, but young people love to come to learn reading, to learn musical instruments, to learn gardening, whatever it may be, but interact through all the different levels and ages of society, and to see different generations, coming together and loving and caring for each other. So that is one of the projects on the cards that we have been involved with. We're also quite involved in doing numerous food drops into. We will have done about 400 food parcels into the community by the end of next week. And this is another focus during the lockdown because people are without sustenance. So that is our focus. And as soon as the schools reopen and we're allowed to get back in there, we will go back to talking to girls and seeing how we can assist them.
Sue, you are an incredible human being. You are very inspirational, and I thank you. I really thank you for carrying this heart out, your heart out to the world, and inspiring us to do better, and to also just open our eyes to what possibilities and opportunities have to create change. And those words also don't just come from me. In the lead up to this live, I had 2 people messaging me and telling me, you are probably one of the best human beings that I will ever meet in my life. That was Peter and Prue Allison, who said you're an incredible woman. So I'm just passing on that compliment. You truly are. You've really created a beautiful live session here with us, with a lot of meaning. And I hope that the audience, people that are watching this, see this and support us in what we're doing on the ground. And if you can't support by donations, then please come and travel here. Then you will make an impact just through that. Thank you for joining me. This was great.
Thank you. It's been an absolute privilege. Thank you very, very much.
And I'm also thanking Isaac again. Great guy. Great that you guys have him on board there. And I hope to chat to everyone soon. Please continue to follow us and Dulini Collection on Instagram or on Facebook. Sign up to our YouTube channel as well if you want to watch the recordings later. And don't forget to donate to both causes, and watch out for this new lifestyle center where old and young will learn from each other. I love that opportunity and that vision. Well done. Thanks, everyone, and have a lovely afternoon.